I am sort of wearing pyjamas. I'm a YouTuber, deal with it. Hi, we're by the bookcase, so that means we're going to talk about books again. Third video in a row. Oh no, I'm sorry. Like, the whole point of me starting this YouTube channel was that I wanted to make short films, and I have so many film scripts written, but I don't have people to be in my films. Come be in my film! Anyway, how to get actors to work with you, shout at them through a camera lens. Anyway. I was perusing the old YouTubes the other day, as I am wont to do, and I came across a video from someone that I don't watch an awful lot of, but for some reason is in my subscriptions, and they were talking about non-fiction books that they recommended, and I was like, oh, I don't read that much non-fiction. Like, I read a hell of a lot of fiction, but I don't read that much non-fiction. So, maybe I'll watch this. And I did, and I found it very interesting, and I thought the recommendations were great, and I'm going to check some of them out. But it made me realise how little non-fiction I read. So, because every time I upload a video that has something to do with books, we get quite a discussion going either down below or on Twitter, I figured I would talk about some non-fiction books I have read and do recommend, and then you guys can recommend me non-fiction books that you've read, and if you've read any of these, we can discuss further. Networking! Pyjamas need to stay out shot. Did I get my pyjamas in shot then? You sure nothing? So the most common non-fiction books that I read are autobiographies or self-help books. Let that sink in. I guess the autobiographies thing is that they're the most accessible non-fiction book, I guess, because they're freaking everywhere. I recently finished reading Felicia Day's autobiography, for instance. Quite enjoyed that. That was quite good. Learned a lot, actually, in the sense that I'm a somewhat nerdy girl that wants to make things on the internet, and Felicia Day is a somewhat nerdy girl that has made things on the internet. So that was quite good, and I think my favourite contemporary autobiography I've ever read is Simon Pegg's Nerd Do Well. It's really good, and he's got a little graphic novel in it as well, so I really enjoyed that. But I think my favourite autobiography is the one that I'm going to recommend to you guys, and that is Ernest Hemingway's A Movable Feast. Y'all probably know by now, I bloody love a bit of Hemingway, so this should be of no surprise to you, but this is basically, right, when old Hem was not feeling too great, and just before he died, he was working on this book. This is a little snapshot of Ernest Hemingway's life, and it's just really interesting historically, as well as, you know, learning about this writer. So I'd like to read more books that are autobiographies, but also historical autobiographies, because I think that would be really interesting, because you learn about the time and the person. So if you can think of any, let me know, and if you haven't read this, do it. Just purely do it purely because there is an anecdote in which Ernest Hemingway and his BFF, F. Scott Fitzgerald, go to a museum to compare parts of Scott's anatomy with statues because Zelda told him it was a bit too small. So, for nothing else, read it for the anecdote in which Ernest Hemingway has to talk to F. Scott Fitzgerald about penis size. Because it's bloody hilarious. Let's get a theme going, shall we? So you know I bloody love Hem. Well, one of my favourite authors of all time is F. Scott Fitzgerald. He's my problematic fave, and my friend bought me this one year for my birthday, and this is Dear Scott, Dearest Zelda, and it's a selection of letters from F. Scott Fitzgerald to his wife Zelda, and vice versa. And this book covers from before they were married all the way through their marriage, and then towards the end of their marriage, and then after they'd separated because they continued to write to each other. And one of my favourite quotes of all time is from F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it's from a letter that he wrote Zelda, and it is, "We ruined ourselves, I never honestly thought we ruined each other." There was like a lot of talk that Zelda's schizophrenia contributed to his alcoholism, which then made him paranoid about his writing, and oh, just like, oh, we ruined ourselves. I've never honestly thought we ruined each other. I ship it so hard. I want to read more books about historical letters. There's a book series, I think, called Letters of Note, and I really want to read those, if any of you guys have read them. let me know. Are they any good? It doesn't mention the whole, oh, by the way, Zelds, went out with old Hem, and we went to a museum. You were wrong. That's never mentioned in this, but lots of really lovely things are, so great noise that makes. So I mentioned autobiographies and self-help books. The next one that I think everyone needs in their life is a self-help book, and that is... Fuck! I'm in my 20s! Am I gonna get banned now for monetization because I dropped an F-bomb? I'm reading the title of a book, does that count? Who am I kidding? I don't know enough from this anyway to care. This is only going to be relevant to me for another 2 years because I'm going to be old really soon. I need one of these for when I hit 30, so if there is one, send it my way. In all seriousness though, this next book genuinely has changed my life, and I don't want to make jokes or like piss about. Genuinely, this book is incredible, and whatever you take from this video, go out and get this book. Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. Dear God, it's part memoir, part self-help book, and it bloody helped me. Like, I'm not even joking, it's... Go and get it. Finally, now the serious thing is out of the way. When I read the book Looking for Alaska, I became weirdly fascinated with last words, and it's mostly because Pudge, the main character in that book, is weirdly fascinated with last words. So I have this book called Immortal Last Words. History's most memorable dying remarks, deathbed declarations and final farewells. And it does feature some great quotes in here. Morbid as it is, really enjoyed it. I like quotes generally, so if you can think of any quote collections, let me know. So those are 5 non-fiction books that I've read and really enjoyed. If you can think of any non-fiction books that you've read and really enjoyed that you can pass on to me, I'd be really grateful. I want to read more non-fiction. I want to read more historical non-fiction if I can, and I want to learn stuff. So chuck them at me. Okay, thanks, bye.